started?
I don't know if it's how it started. It's certainly how it ended up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think people should get a hold of their congressman and tell them they better repeal it.
Okay, thanks for calling WILK. Because that's totally on topic. Let's go to Kat in Archibald. I know Kat will be nice to me. Hi, sweetie. How are you?
How you doing,
I'm
Kathy?
great, baby. Tell me all about it.
All right. Well, I called to answer about
the National Defense.
The NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act.
Okay.
It was done at the time we were getting ready for the ball to drop, and I'll tell you what, it was New Year's Eve.
Oh.
Mr. Obama went ahead and signed it into law. And when Mitt Romney came here April 5th, yeah, the good dude, he's a journalist, I think his name is Antonello. He had asked him, he says to Mitt Romney, he says, which part don't you like, could you, if he asked if the president...
Did he blow him off?
If he would repeal the NDAA Act, Section 1021 and Section 1022.
Right.
And he rushed away, Mitt Romney did, saying, it's not the time and place for serious questions.
I remember hearing that.
Wow. When is the time? He came here to Tonkahannock. When could we ask it? So we had a town hall meeting, and it was with Mr. Marino, our representative in Congress.
Right.
They called you on the phone. Yeah, I'm one of them. They called. And I asked them the same question.
Yeah.
Okay?
Tell us
I asked Mr. Marino if he would repeal the NDAA Act. And I says, Section 1021 and Section 1022. I says, which part don't you like about it? I says, is it the part where they detain you forever, indefinitely, or the part where there's no jury and trial and no lawyer? See, that's the problem with it. And not only that, what Obama did, he keeps on doing things that are like leading up to something. So I take a journal and I write down everything.
Let's go to Dan in Wilkes-Barre. Hello, Dan.
Good afternoon, Kathy. How are you?
Good.
Listen, God bless Anthony there, but I'm less worried about the 8th Army group sitting in my backyard and a little bit more worried about an 18-year-old gangbanger shooting me at the Turkey Hill, basically. I think there's more...
Must we use that expression? Rush was saying that all day, and it's like, dude, can't you think of something else that you...
I know. I mean,
I
think some people's cyclotonic medication prescriptions are running low, and I'll tell you, Kat, listening to what I just listened, all I got to say is, thank God I got a license to carry a handgun, because if these people are walking around, somebody's got to be armed. Let's put it that way.
I don't know. There's Joe in Pittston. Hi, Joe. You're on WILK.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi, Joe.
I wasn't going to call, but I heard Mr. Antonello, Tony from Pittston, going on about the authorization, the National Defense Authorization Act. I'd like him to give me an example of one time where the military has gone to just a regular law-abiding citizen's home and pulled them out of their home.
I don't know. You're not going to hear about it. That's the thing, Joe.
Well, right, to these conspiracy nuts. And Mr. Antonello, he says, he studies history and Nazi Germany. I mean, anybody can study anything they want, and if they want to make a leap to something extreme, they're going to make that leap and make the facts fit in their head. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's never happened. I hear Mr. Antonello all the time talking about these big conspiracies and confronting politicians about these made-up conspiracies.
Yes, and I'm not saying I agree with everything he says. I commend his passion. Because he goes to any length.
People.
No, maybe not. He doesn't feel that way. He feels like this is the only real information. Yes, we don't have to believe everything everybody says, Joe.
Right, but there is people out there who will, he kind of sounds official and all that, who will think that he's saying that he's speaking the facts. He's speaking the facts as he believes them. But
everybody's speaking the facts. No, not necessarily. No.
Yeah, there's not two sides of a fact. Well, right, there's perception and then there's fact.
Yeah, but there's, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess, but you're not going to hear that on talk radio. You're not ever going to hear real facts on talk radio. That's not what talk radio is about.
Well, no, I mean, but he says all these like asinine things. It's just crazy to me. And
but
I want you don't have to be afraid that the military is going to kick in our doors and take us to Guantanamo Bay.
I don't know, Joe. I'm not
walking up and down these streets. You don't want to think about the stuff that you're gonna have to do. Somebody pops around the corner.
I mean, shoot in America.
Yeah.
not sure about that, okay? I go to sleep at night and I just drift off, okay? And I'm not worried that people are going to kick my door in. But I don't really want to have to watch what I say either. I'm not good at watching what I say.
Oh, well, me neither. And I say all kinds of things.
Okay.
But, I mean,
that's what he's
right
talking
now,
about. That's what he's
I
talking
don't have any less freedoms now than I had 20 years ago.
Really?
I mean, like what?
I'm not
like
sure.
what could you not do now that you could do 20 years ago that you normally go about doing in your everyday life?
I'm not sure that we haven't become a little too politically correct and we haven't become a little...
Oh, I agree with the whole politically correct thing.
Well,
I agree 100% with that.
That's the thing. That's watching what you say.
Well, yeah, but you don't have to be a fear of becoming arrested for it and the military coming to your door.
I'm not sure about that. All right, Joe, thanks for calling WIKL. So let's just dial it back a little bit. And here's a voice of reason.
Yeah, right.
No, you know what? You know what I love about you, Anthony? You know what I love is you are entirely committed to what you believe in.
I am.
Even though I may not agree with you all the time, I love that anybody is that passionate about it.
Well, here's the thing is I understand history, so I know what is possible. I study trends and patterns, so I know what is probable, and then I compare it to what's happening this day and age, and I I really like freedom, and I understand how precious it is, and liberty. So when I heard the first caller mention it, Helen, I immediately picked up the phone because I know it takes courage to call to begin with, just to put your voice out there, and then to talk about something unpopular. So I wanted to call and say that she is 100% right. I don't have the time to call as much as I would like to, but I am very happy hearing people starting to realize this. I heard the end of Kat's conversation. As far as Marino, I actually confronted him on this before the mainstream media was pulled into this subject, kicking and screaming. And yes, and I asked him, I told him what sections 1021 and 1022 allow, and he told me he disagrees with me. Now, there's no disagreeing because it's black and white, but he said he disagreed with my interpretation of the bill. Now, here's what I'm saying when people want to call us conspiracy theorists or call us whatever they want. Let me ask you this. Do you think the people in Germany in 1936 or 1937, do you think they knew what was coming? Do you think, that they were running down the street saying, oh my God, guess what's going to be happening in the next couple of years, Like, they didn't know, okay?
I'm sorry. Somebody's annoyed. Somebody's very annoyed.
My daughter, she's okay though. But in 1930s, in the early years of Germany, people didn't know what was coming. And even if they did, here's the thing, Kathy. Even if they did, would they, what would they have done? Would they have stood on their rooftop screaming? So this is why I'm so committed to this, because I see the writing on the wall. Now these people are going forward with legislation. Bill after bill. Hillary Clinton is about to sign a bill that is basically going to get rid of this.
Hillary Clinton can't sign bills.
She's supposed to sign a treaty with the UN. Yes, sorry, with the UN on I believe it's July 27th, which is pretty much going to nullify our Second Amendment. It's I think it's called like the Small Arms Treaty or something like this. So you have to ask yourself, why is our so-called government, why are they passing such draconian legislation where they can literally come like she said, they can do whatever they want with you now. We are, indoctrinating our children to allow sexual assaults to happen at the airport, with this TSA, and, in 1776, it was give me liberty or give me death. These days, it's, give up every one of your liberties to keep me safe. And I totally disagree with that. And I'm going to have to let you go, Kathy. I got to take care of
because there's a tragedy in progress. Yes,
I did want to call, and I do encourage everybody else to look into this bill and, take it very serious. It is a very serious issue, okay?
All right, thanks, Tony. I couldn't listen to that anymore. I do understand, though. There's a tragedy every minute when you have girls. Here is Mike in West Pittston. Hi, Mike. You're on WILK. Real quick now.
Hi, thanks for taking the call, Kathy. I just your last caller. Mr. Antonello is closer to the truth than he would like to admit, but his analysis is usually dead on. I don't always agree with him on solutions. I don't think we should necessarily be screaming from the rooftops. I think what we have is not a political problem, but a spiritual and moral one. And I think that each of us needs to look within ourselves and look for our own sins and failings and correct them individually, and then in our families and in our communities.
Hello, Ed.
Hi, I just wanted to make a comment. A previous caller mentioned about the NDAA.
Yeah, we've been talking about that on and off, too.
Well, I'm a state constable here in Sunbury, and...
What does that mean exactly, Ed, if you don't mind?
Well, they're a branch of law enforcement. They're similar to sheriff, but they have statewide authority.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And, about a month ago, I signed a resolution to nullify the NDAA, that nobody from my office will cooperate in the enforcement of the NDAA.
Ooh, don't you think that's... I wish I understood why I sounded so echoey. Don't you think that's a little, like, overreacting?
Oh, definitely not. The NDAA violates much of our state and federal constitution, and I took an oath to uphold the Constitution, and even a federal judge has ruled that the NDAA's indefinite detention provisions are unconstitutional.
Good for you, Ed. I'm glad that you did that, and I'm glad you called to tell us about it.
And I just wanted to mention that it's not conspiracy, and it's not anything against Obama in particular, but this whole, the Patriot Act, before that with Bush, I just think we're on the wrong path, and it's definitely not conspiracy theory. People should definitely look into it.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ed.
Of course, it started out as a budget and expenditure act for the Department of Defense. And, see, here's the thing about signing a pledge that you're not ever going to bust anybody's door down. I mean, I'm not saying there aren't law enforcement officials that live for the opportunity to bust down doors, okay? But I'm just saying, on the other hand, maybe there's somebody like whose door you really needed to bust down. Let's go to Nick in West Pittston. Hello, Nick.
Hello, how are you?
Just groovy. What do you got?
Well, I just wanted to speak a little bit about the NDAA.
Okay, good, because the more information we can get, the better.
Outstanding. I have plenty of it, so... pretty much where this all derives from is the 2001 authorization of use of military force. And the NDAA is just adding on to that bill. And in that, with the targeting profile of the authorization of use of military force, AUMF, was anyone who planned, authorized, committed, aided, or harbored terrorists that perpetrated...
which is a very broad definition, right?
Well, no, that's actually very concise. Because it was all towards the attack that happened on 9/11. So there were specific people involved, and they were going after them. What this act does, the NDAA, specifically Section 1021B, it states a person who was a part of or substantially supported supported Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, or associated forces that are engaged in hostilities against the United States or its coalition partners.
Okay.
Including any person who has committed a, quote, belligerent act or has directly supported such hostilities in aid of such enemies.
That is open to pretty much any interpretation that anyone cares to give. You
Absolutely.
know? I can say, I hate the government, and that can be looked upon as terrorism.
It's total suppression of free speech.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's so wide and broad, and maybe a lot of people are missing even a bigger point of this, and it's just the loss of confidence in our leadership to, you know, do the right thing. If somebody goes missing, you know, well, what happened? Kind of like with Andrew Breitbart when he passed away. You know, there were rumors going around, you know, that he could have been the first one on the NDAA because he's giving comfort to the enemy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and it really erodes our confidence in the system.
Yeah.
And there's nothing conspiratorial about it. I mean, this is all in plain view. People just need to do the research and really look into it to understand what it's all about.
Okay. All right, thanks for calling. That's good. Joe in Kingston. Hi, Joe. You're on WILK.
Hi, yeah, I wanted to mention about the NDAA. To me, it seems like a real bad bill. They say that, because of one provision in it, and they say that, there are protections against the president, you know, indefinitely detaining a person, but actually those protections can be overridden according to the bill. So there are a lot of legal scholars who are very worried about it. So, I mean, to me, I just see no reason to pass a bill like that. I mean, American citizens, they have certain protections under the law, and there's just no reason to take them away.
And that was the point of the founding of this country. Just saying. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
See, that's the trouble, is half of me loves to hug trees and the other half is screaming libertarian. Thanks for calling.
1-800-437-0098. Here's Dan from Bowling Green, Ohio. Dan, I almost sent my kid to Bowling Green University? College?
Oh, really?
Is that the same Bowling Green? You know, I think that might be in Indiana.
There's a Bowling Green, Kentucky, so that might be it.
No, because they had hockey. That's why I almost sent him there.
Bowling Green, Ohio has a pretty good hockey team, so...
There you go. That was it. Then that was it. I almost sent my kid there. Then I realized it was like 9 hours away from our house. But anyway, are you listening on the interwebs?
I am listening on the interwebs. I was just hearing a few things about the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act.
Okay. Now, could you please explain exactly, I mean, other than kicking your door down and grabbing you out because you said you didn't like the government?
Yeah, the NDAA, I'm the founder of a coalition nationwide designed to fight it.
Oh!
So, the NDAA is usually a fairly mundane bill. It's just military funding.
And it's every year, right? Every year they do a new one, right?
Every year for 48 years, correct.
Okay.
And the problem with NDAA since 9/11 is the lawmakers have seen it as the metaphorical haystack to throw their needles in, where they'll never be found. That's what happened with 2007 NDAA, which was later repealed, authorized a military unit to operate on U.S. soil in direct violation of Pars Comitatus. But the 2012 is what's authorized the indefinite detention of American citizens without charge and without trial, by defining them, as a couple people have said, belligerent acts and things like that. Now, one of the things I want to touch on that hasn't been touched on yet is the vague language wouldn't be as bad if the law enforcement agencies defined it as it was supposed to be defined. It'd be like if Kodak, the camera company, were to say, all right, all red cameras need to be in our factories by this time next year.
Right.
We'd look to their enforcing agencies to define what red was and what a camera was. So... in response to it, I also heard a Ready.gov commercial on there. So let's take a look at what the FBI says a suspected terrorist is, the official documents by FBI and BJA, which also can be found on our website at pandaunite.org.
What is that again? Give that again, please.
Pandaunite.org.
Panda, like the black and white
like
bear.
Little Fuzzy Bear.
Yeah, pandaunite.org.
Correct.
Okay, continue.
And... yeah, on there, under our more info section, you can find 30-something. There's over 350 criteria
that if you meet any of those, including paying with cash, it makes you a suspected terrorist. Now, here's some of the hypocrisy here. Ready.gov just aired a commercial on your radio station talking about preparing for a storm.
Make a plan. Get a kit.
Exactly. Well, FBI counterterrorism documents specifically state if you have more than a certain amount of food in your house or preparing, you're a suspected terrorist because you're obviously stockpiling for an attack.
I am a suspected terrorist because I have peach butter from 2001 that I canned. In 2001, and I have never eaten it yet. And it's there in case of Holocaust, Dan.
And everyone who's preparing like that, I've heard it described by several senators as if you have 7 days or more of food in your house, then you're a suspected terrorist.
Well, in that case, everybody in Wyoming County is a suspected terrorist because we're smart, and when things are on sale, we stock up. It's what we do because we're poor.
And it doesn't stop there. So we'll go to a few other ones. Traveling in a logical distance, and I quote this, traveling in a logical distance makes you a suspected terrorist.
I went to Philly Sunday to go out to dinner with my friend. Oh, crap, am I in trouble?
And my personal favorite, blaming the government for your perceived problems. So first of all, the government is benevolent and angels are singing every time they do anything. And if you happen to have a problem with them, you are a suspect. It's obviously that problem is in your head. But if you blame the government for them, you're a suspected terrorist.
Oh, that's great. That's really great. So any of us, see, that's what people are nervous about. Any of us is a suspected terrorist at any time. Anybody. Because I want to put gold in a hole in my backyard, I'll bet you that makes me a suspected terrorist, too. Did you hear me say that, Dan? Because I've been saying that for years. Just take it out of the stock market and dig a hole, preferably below the frost line, and put your gold in a can and stick it in there. And
they're trying to they're trying to outlaw owning precious metals like gold and silver. That there's been several attempts to outlaw those precious metals and make sure American people can't own them.
I don't know about that, but that's where I sort of draw the line. It's like I can't believe that the government really wants everybody to be that powerless. I just can't believe that. I can't. You know what I'm saying? I just can't.
Yeah, I perfectly understand.
And by the way, I would like to tell the people that PANDA, P-A-N-D-A, stands for People Against the National Defense Act. Okay?
Bingo.
Because that's why you go to pandaunite.org for their thing, and you can read the National Defense Act, and you can read about Dan Johnson and all that stuff. Declare your website a belligerent act. That's great. Okay. All right, thanks for all that information. I appreciate it, Dan.
No problem. You have a good rest of the day.
Best of luck. If you get taken away, you please make sure you let somebody know, okay? It's not funny. All right, thanks. Here's Jim in Scranton. Hi, Jim. You're on WILK.
Man, that's a hard act to follow. That guy is on top of his game, I'll tell you that much.
Well, you know, first of all, okay, it's great, but he is listening to WILK from Bowling Green, Ohio, which tells you that there is nothing better, at least east of the Mississippi.
Back to the NDAA, it is so disgustingly anti-American, it's not even funny. And when my neighbor could be arrested, tortured, deported, or killed without a trial, that is everything our founding fathers were against, and it's just wrong. And Obama, of course, put it through, and Romney okays it. So where do people like me, a conservative, go?
I like to think that Romney would at least make a change in it.
Well, you know what, Kathy D., one of your callers, that Anthony Antonello, who I never met in my life, I like how he sounds, he was on the rope line, and he spoke to him about it, and he blew him off, and the guy later on okayed it, you know?
Well,
not Anthony, but Romney.
Not to jump to Mitt Romney's defense, but Tony does tend to kind of jump out of the bushes at people. Like he tried to do it to Nancy Pelosi, which is, actually the story was hilarious.
Yeah.
Because she wouldn't even meet his eye. Man, he must have scare the daylights out of her. But I will say that's his favorite thing to do is, like, jump out of the bushes at politicians. And that would get on my nerves after a while. People started doing that. You know what I'm saying?
I guess, but, he seems like a pretty harmless guy. I don't know how anybody be afraid of him. You know?
Me neither. He does. And I will say that he is true to the passion of his beliefs, and I very much respect that.
Yeah.
You know, even if I don't agree with him all the time, I like that he's willing to walk the walk as well as talk the talk.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. One other thing, I'm glad Doherty doesn't have NDAA powers, or God knows what would happen.
With a Janet Evans. She would disappear like that.